This is a huge turning point for the Phoenix Suns as Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are set to return for injury tomorrow versus the Los Angeles Lakers. And as we've seen with this Suns team, they have been on a skid offensively and defensively with losing these stars. And some role players like Josh Okogie have tried to step up and filling in this role for Mike Budenholzer. But how will players like Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal truly impact this roster and really bring back the Suns on their winning record that they had at the beginning of the year? We'll be diving in and looking at all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Showing your love for CJ and I. We're really, really appreciative of all the love and support you guys have been giving us. So if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button and keep down dropping those comments on what your reactions are on the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said in the introduction and what we need for the Suns, this is going to be key and is needed for this team, as we have mentioned and broken down. Obviously, Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, both going down with calf injuries, and that's been a clear hindrance of the success of this Suns roster. But with going into this break here, the Suns have had 5 days of rest to really recoup, really bring back themselves, and kind of wash away those really, really sad losses that were piling up with this squad due to injuries. And now we'll likely see Durant and Beal be ready to go with this team heading into tomorrow, which is key for the Suns' success as we saw them dominate at the start of the season. So let's get into this and let's look at this. Looking at some reports here, obviously from some sources around Phoenix, Dwayne Rankin being one of them. Obviously, was talking to Tyus Jones and Monte Morris yesterday at practice at shoot around, and they both said that Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal have looked good playing 5-on-5 in Phoenix, and they hope to have them both ready for Tuesday's game against Los Angeles. And Mike Budenholzer, the Suns head coach, also had some stuff to say on them as well. Said Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal did everything in practice today. Hopefully, they'll be ready for their game tomorrow versus the Lakers. And how they feel after today's practice will play a role in the return for Budenholzer, saying that they are trending upwards. So only great things for Suns fans here, hearing not only from their head coach, but from multiple players as well, that these stars are getting more comfortable, feeling like they are ready to go, and the Suns are expecting them to be back. And versus the Lakers, this is a big game. Obviously, the Lakers being a Pacific Division rival. Obviously, LeBron James versus Kevin Durant, wanting to show that spectacle for the world. But not only just that, the Lakers and the Suns will be meeting for the third time this season already, and we are just right around a month into the year, and they're going to be playing for the third time. The first matchup they played was at the beginning of the season, which the Suns suffered their first loss, where Anthony Davis mounted a fantastic comeback for the Lakers, in which the Suns lost a 20-point lead at halftime. Fortunate for Suns fans. Then obviously, look at the next game in which the Suns bounced back. Yusuf Nurkic wasn't used in that game as much, but the Suns were able to take down the Lakers. And now for this third contest, it is heating up as it is some NBA Cup game. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. As we all know, the new in-season tournament from last season has been renamed to the NBA Cup, and that is a grand spectacle as a scheme as well. So having LeBron James and Kevin Durant battling each other in the NBA Cup is not only going to get views for the NBA, but it is also going to be nice to have Kevin Durant bounce back and showcase his skills in that matchup. So the Suns desperately need that, and also want to keep that win record alive versus the Lakers this season, just in case they get in any tiebreakers going into this season for some playoff matchups. So winning this game will be key for the Suns. But let's dive in and let's look at some more stuff with this Suns team here. Like I mentioned, looking at some quotes from Gerald Bourguet as well, worker of the PHNX podcast, working on the Suns part of things. He obviously talked to Budenholzer saying everything's about the offense. Everybody thinks it's about the offensive boost, but I think there's a defensive boost as well with bringing in those two players in Budenholzer and Durant. Or Durant and Beal, said Budenholzer, which we'll get into in a little bit as well. And like I mentioned, Monte Morris on Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal being in today's scrimmage. Both of them looked back normal, looked back good. We're just happy to have that safety that we know with them, just having them back and being able to close games and put that scoring back on the board. And like we mentioned, this Suns team has been lacking things. We want to look at this Suns roster kind of going into the season this year. If we want to look at the standings, they are 8th in the Western Conference at 9-7. But if you do look far to the right, you can see they are on a 5-game losing streak. So obviously the Suns 9-2 to start off the year, 8-1 basically with Kevin Durant, and then have been on a little bit not a little bit for sure downward slope since the MVP candidate has been out. But like Budenholzer had said in the beginning there, the Suns are obviously lacking some offensive creation without having Durant and Beal, two of their best scorers and stars in this lineup, but they're also lacking some defensive pressure as well. So if we want to look, obviously looking at the two stars here in Beal and Durant, first looking at Kevin Durant, he's absolutely been on fire for the Suns, having an MVP-like caliber season before, obviously hurting his calf. 27.5 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.5 blocks per game. Durant was shooting 55% from the field and 42% from three, really closing and being that all-out scorer for this Suns team. And Beal really awakened himself in Mike Budenholzer's offense, found himself as that third lethal scorer for this team that was necessarily needed last season. I think with bringing obviously Tyus Jones and Monte Morris, it's alleviated some of those point guarding duties, which has made it a little bit easier for players like Beal and Booker to kind of get into that offensive rhythm. Now, Beal obviously has been dealing with a calf injury as well, but as a third star, 17.8 points, 18 points, 4 rebounds, and around 4 assists per game, shooting 47% from the field and 39% from three, was looking like a reincarnated Bradley Beal on the Suns here, and it was looking absolutely fantastic. Having Beal, Durant, and Booker being those three rhythm scorers with Tyus Jones setting them up, and having some impact plays from Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, Josh Okogie on the defensive side that we've seen, have given the Suns fans that kind of life, that kind of inspiration, that they know that this team can be good, fully healthy on paper. It's just, can we get by the injury bug sneaking and biting us? And I do believe the Suns will be able to crawl through this and get through all of that. But if we want to look at some of the issues that the Suns have had, obviously, with dealing with some of these injuries, if we want to look, the Suns, this is a defensive rating here. The Suns are ranked currently 20th in defensive rating at 115. And if we want to look at points off of turnovers, the Suns are 9th in the NBA. And if we also want to look at second chance points in the NBA, the Suns are 6th. So the Suns are letting all of these teams get offensive rebounds, get second chance points, and the Suns are still having some turnover issues, even though they have found their obvious, did not mean to hit that, even though they have obviously found their true point guards in Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. So this roster still does have some holes on it, particularly in that front court there, where Oso Iguodala and Mason Plumlee have really stepped up in the Jusuf Nurkic absence, but haven't been able to deliver at that star level caliber starting center that the Suns desperately need to make a deep playoff push. And we've seen with some of these bench guys as well have some bright moments, but some of them not really shine out the best. Grayson Allen having some shooting struggles to start. Ryan Dunn really starting out at the beginning here being one of the better three-point shooters, but cooling down ever since. And with the Suns lacking their two of their three best scorers, that obviously is another X factor, as players like that are not required to take as many jump shots and are obviously required to take a bigger offensive workload when players like Durant and Beal are out. So I do expect, like I mentioned, for this Suns team to be ready to go in tomorrow's contest with Durant and with Beal coming back. And I'm hoping that they are back together, ladies and gentlemen, because if they are back, we know that this Suns team can turn up and take over and beat this Los Angeles Lakers squad, who has been dealing with some injuries of their own, and then ultimately coming away with that with a nice bounce back win with Durant and Beal in the lineup, really setting up the future for this team and trying to figure it out. As we all know, this Suns team can be a top contender in the West when fully healthy. It just needs to stay healthy for the next 15 to 20 games to make sure it can figure out who is going to stay, who is going to possibly get traded, and trying to figure out what roles are necessary to push for a championship, because this Suns team is built to compete for a championship. They might not have all the pieces yet, but they can surely gets there this season. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about Bradley Beal, Durant coming back? Are you guys excited? What are your ultimate thoughts? And how do you think this Suns team is truly going to pan out this year? You guys have been absolutely fantastic. And leaving your comments, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. CJ and I are really, really appreciative. So if you want to show your support for Suns Digest, help us get to 2,000 subscribers, and you're at this point in the video and not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button to show us that love. But you guys are absolutely fantastic. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. And go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, y'all.